Hi, I'm Mr. Joel from Bright Culture. So today I'm going to teach you salt preparation. Okay, how do you prepare a salt? Because when students see how do you prepare a salt in the question or in the exam with a huge chunk of lines, they will tend to phobia or they'll tend to be stressed and just ignore the question. And usually that may be cost about 3 marks. Okay, so I think it's worth to really understand how do you write or how do you prepare salts. Okay, so in the whole universe there are 2 types of salts. Okay, soluble salt and insoluble salt. Okay, so what are the soluble salts? Okay, so I'm going to help you help students know how are you going to sort of memorize or learn or know all these soluble salts. Okay, so for the first one, all nitrates are soluble. So remember, for the first one, whenever you see something nitrate, they are all soluble. Very easy, right? So all nitrates are soluble. For the second one, all group 1 metal salts are soluble. So whenever you see any group 1 metal together with another anion or a group 1 metal salt is soluble. Okay, there's no exceptions. And the last one is actually all ammonium salts are soluble. Okay, so the first three things you need to know is actually all nitrates are soluble, number 1. Number 2 is all group 1 metal salts are soluble. And the last one, all ammonium salts are soluble. So these 3 criteria over here, or these 3 points, you just need to know, all soluble. Whenever you see anything of these 3, they're all soluble. Okay? For the second group I'm going to teach you is that they are soluble but with exceptions. Okay? So the first one is what all sulfates are soluble. So all sulfates are soluble except calcium, barium, and lead. Or CLB, or calcium, lead, and barium. Okay, you need to know. So all sulfates are soluble except CLB, calcium, lead, barium. Okay, and then all halides are soluble except silver and lead. What are halides? Halides are group 7 ions. For example, something fluoride, something chloride. So all halides are soluble except silver and lead, S and L. Okay, take note. So just now all sulfates are soluble except for calcium, lead, and barium, CLB, and all halides are soluble except silver and lead, SL. Okay, so the first group all soluble. The second group I just mentioned, they are soluble but with exceptions. And the last group, I think is the easiest, is actually all oxides, hydroxides, and carbonates are insoluble. So they are all insoluble except those that I've mentioned. For example, if let's say it's a group 1 metal, hydroxide is confirmed soluble because just now I mentioned all group 1 metal oxides or all group 1 metal salts are soluble. Okay, so the last one is all oxides, hydroxides, and carbonates are insoluble except those I've mentioned above just now. So the whole solubility table I've already broken down into 3 main groups, right? The first one, I say again, all soluble, no exceptions. Second one, all soluble with exceptions, and last one, all insoluble except those that I've mentioned above. Okay, so after you have learned how do you determine whether the salt is soluble or not, then we will know how to prepare the salt. So for soluble salts, there are actually 2 ways to prepare. First way, titration. Second way is acid reaction. Okay, for insoluble salt, only 1 way, which is actually precipitation. Okay, so it's very clear. So your thought process, first thing, is it soluble or not? Okay, so if it's soluble, it's either titration or acid reaction. How do we decide which one to use? Group 1 metal salts and ammonium salts, or sometimes they call it spar salts in school. We use titration. The other salts that are soluble but not spar salts, we use acid reaction. Okay, and if it's insoluble salt, thank God, it's the easiest, right? You just got to use precipitation. Okay, the exact steps and the exact words, right? I will teach you the next lesson. Okay, so for now, remember how to determine whether the salt is soluble or not. That's your homework. Okay, that's it for today. I'm Mr. Joel from Bright Culture. See you next lesson.